Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
If
Okay.
you've ever wanted to transmute the crazy energy that's all around us, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll talk about shifting energy, tai-chiing energy, and even harnessing the smoky, swirly energy that's all around us. That plus we'll talk about Fifi the Mini, Diamond White and Gold Trim, Phoenix Risings, rebranding with Jessica, the Love Bug and Licking Chops. Oh no. Ruru potty training,
Oh.
Jessica preparing Michael for diapers. What? Enlightened Executive Function, Impatience, Rapture, Tonsil Takeover, Jessica darth-vadering up, book editing galore, the Michael and Jessica plus Ruru reality show, and what in the world the nation's highest priority forest fire has to do with anything.
Oh no.
So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to
I
shine?
think so. I'm ready to shine. All right. I have Chakra 7, Lime and
Woo-hoo!
Rose. We need some good things from above. That smells so good. Lime and Rose essence. Okay. What's going on in the forest fire? Where is it and what's happening?
It is 10 miles from our front door. It is expected, based on Michael's meteorology, extensive experience, it's expected to miss us by at least 5 or 6 miles.
Okay.
Um, it has closed the highway for the better part of the week. The national highway is closed. It's a scary thing. So far, almost everybody has been lucky. My favorite trails, I think, have burned out. There's a national treasure
Mm.
called Hanging Lake out here in Colorado. That may have burned out as well. And it has 2.5 times in size overnight. And so it just keeps doubling and doubling.
I think I've seen when it burns out, just for people who aren't familiar, who haven't been on the West Coast, it's just like the trees burn down to a little black stubble that emanates from the ground. It's just like a little black twig that comes out. Is that what you mean by burnout? And like usually like the ground sometimes is scorched earth, like black as well.
Depends on the trees. The trees around here tend to survive in the pine trees in skeletal form. And
Oh.
so you will have skeletal forests, which for 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 years, they'll have lots of stuff growing in it, but these skeletal remains of the trees will still be there. Hanging Lake Trail has this crystal clear pool of water coming down off of almost caves and cliffs up above where you can see through it. It's like one of those enchanted lakes you would see out of China,
Hmm.
where you can see down through it, through moss, all the way to the bottom. And the whole trail is special, and that lake is incredibly special. There's only rumors online as to what has really happened at this point, but it's clear the fire went right over the area.
Oh, wow.
So we
Oh,
don't
so
know.
sad.
It's very interesting. The air is not quite pea soup thick at the moment. Depends on the wind conditions. It's not good either. Jessica has had lung challenges in the past
Hmm.
from mold toxicity, so I got her when it started. The timing was miraculous. There was another fire 100 miles away that's now the fourth largest fire in Colorado history ever. I think 70 some odd thousand
Wow.
acres.
Oh, wow.
And so at that time, I ordered her a portable HEPA filter. You wear it around your neck, it has a hose, and it goes up to your N95 mask, and it's filtering the air that you're breathing in so she can breathe the air and go outside, because if not, we're locked in a small environment for potentially weeks until the fire is gone.
Well, and so it's just like a battery operated machine that like basically and it generates air into the N95 mask.
Exactly. Hold on 1 second here.
Oh, God bless you. Have you been able to sleep okay? Oh, God bless you.
We're not quite done yet.
That's only three.
6:20.
Usually you're
Sneeze.
four.
There we go. Maybe I'm good. I've been able. So yeah, it's a HEPA filter. It's like wearing a portable air filter, and it's
Mm.
continuously pumping fresh air into your N95 mask. I've been able to sleep all right. I seem to be transmuting it well. I'm literally, as, as strange as it sounds, I'm breathing in that air and cycling through and trying to use it as a positive energy source. And so instead of labeling the smoke as bad, I'm saying neither good nor bad, just energy.
Mm.
And so I breathe in. The natural tendency when there's smoke from a fire that's 10 miles away or closer or even further, the natural tendency is to panic
Mm-hmm.
when you smell that smoke, and a natural animal reaction would be to bolt.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead, I have breathed into it. I'm using my hands in kind of a wheel motion as I'm literally creating a wheel of energy. In a sense, you could say acting as my own energetic air purifier
Right.
and transmuting that energy so that I feel fine.
Does it worry you that these fires are coming and you're going to leave in basically a month from now?
Well, we will have a house sitter. So
Okay,
we
got it.
have that to watch the house. Um, I may well upgrade my insurance today. I have that on my list. Um, Jessica had a dream years ago about a fire coming over the hilltop and engulfing this house, which is interesting. And we don't know whether that's literal or metaphorical. It's interesting. We're doing some rebranding here for Inspire Nation, and we've been the bright and shiny light bulb, and that is who we are. But as we were talking about transmuting energy all the time and talking about alchemy all the time, what came to me, we were talking about how we're going to wrap this car. We ended up getting a mini clubman called Fifi, and Fifi's called Fifi for the Phoenix.
Hmm.
Because I'm out on a run last week or 2 weeks ago maybe, and I said I picture these gold wings on the hood.
Hmm.
And then at some point, Jessica's like, I had a dream or I had a vision of a phoenix. And then somebody else mentioned phoenix, and somebody else mentioned phoenix. And a phoenix is transmuting energy, it's rising from the ashes. And if there's no more apt description for all of us during this time, and especially for Jessica and myself,
Mm-hmm.
for the last decade we've been together. And so our rebranding is going to have the phoenix and probably golden rays of light as we look at how we can turn this time, which I see as having such incredible positive possibility. Granted, is horrific for people, but I want to talk about how we can rise from the ashes, which is interesting because we planned on Phoenix before there's literally ashes not too many miles away.
Oh
I'm not
no.
making light. I am not making light.
No, I get
It's
it.
intriguing
Wow.
though.
So the white and gold trim on your Fifi Mini, is that going to be what you're wrapping it around with white and gold trim to match your
It's
logo?
wrapped in a diamond white, so a sparkly white, and it has going to have, so far it looks like a gold foil everywhere that you can put little highlights and stuff will all be gold foil and gold handles. And this is going to be the little abundance mobile. And then on the hood is going to be a golden phoenix rising.
Nice. Very cool. So
We'll have
people will spot you.
Yes, and we'll have URL, and we may have places for sponsors. This was the original idea. And instead of having sponsors at the moment, it may be affirmations. Like
Hmm,
if you
sweet.
picture a race car where it say Pennzoil on it or
Yeah.
something, and instead it'll say breathe in or
Oh, nice.
so that we get people smiling and breathing when they see us go by.
So a mini is like a trailer that you're going to be hooking onto your car and it trails. And what is contained in this mini?
So a mini is so we're going to have a 35-foot RV. We'll call it
Mm-hmm.
a bus
Mm-hmm.
that will have our office, our studio, our kitties, Ruru, the he, the she, they, rooster, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then behind it you tow a car, and you can only tow a manual, a stick shift car, and we got the newest Mini Cooper, the little English sports car that we could. We got the family version, the station wagon version of the Mini Cooper. It's very cute. It's very small. You're able to tow it behind you. So because the bus, you can't get into the cities. The bus you would park at a RV parking place, and then you detach the Mini, sort of like I think there was a bank robbery movie. I know there was The Heist or something 10 years ago with minis in it. So you detach from your RV and then you can go zip around and it'll have a phoenix on the hood of it and it'll be white and gold and hopefully make people smile.
Oh, wow. Oh, I did not understand. I thought it was like a little, sometimes they have these little carts in the back that carry more stuff. So it's primarily for you to be driving around when you're not in the big, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And then
They
what's
call it
happened?
a toad. A toad stands for towable something something, but a TOAD. So we're going to have a mini toad vehicle.
I'm learning all about the RV life, which I never knew before, but I'm finding out all about the RV life. Okay, now how about the life with Ruru? What are you finding out about Ruru potty training? And we still don't know
So
the they's gender.
we're working on potty training.
Hmm.
So far, here's what I've got. I've got him somewhat coming on command to saying, "Come here, Ruru, come." And so about 50% of the time he's coming. I give him treats, I give him rewards. We've had people calling and writing in, suggesting methods for training chickens. Right now, I say yes. Instead of good boy or good girl, I say yes. And after that, I've got to teach him no. And then we move on to litter box. Every time he goes into the litter box, say yes. So I've got him coming 50% of the time. I have him waiting at the door for me if I go in the house, like a dog waiting at the door. He will wait for me at the door. I've introduced him well to two of the three kitties. The third kitty, oddly enough, licks her chops. We're not sure what's up with that, but she's smaller than Ruru, so hopefully that's okay. And we're progressing. We're bonding. We're bringing him around. You saw him right before the show. I brought him inside, and he, she, they is the cutest thing. I say he, she, they. We first believed he was a rooster. Then we had a friend say that is um, a Plymouth Rock something chicken, and it's clearly a chicken, not a rooster. Then we had somebody write in and say it's actually a cuckoo Marans. You can tell because it's gray legs versus yellow legs. And that cuckoo Marans is not a chicken, but is a juvenile rooster.
Hmm.
Now we have heard him conk him, her, they. What I'm saying is we're open to all sexes, no problem. We have heard
It says
him
you're
or her
androgynous,
yes,
androgynous, androgynous.
cockadoodle do, but
Yes.
we have heard of hens doing that too if there's no male around.
Hmm.
So he is strutting a little bit like a rooster. I'm guessing he is a rooster. We don't know this. He will grow, if he's a rooster, he will probably, though no guarantee, grow spurs on the backs of his legs, sharp things that you use if they were to fight. So I have no idea if these things will grow or not. So we just love him or her up. I believe it's a he. I'm totally not attached. If it's daddy's little girl, great. If it's daddy's little, if it's daddy, I don't know how to say these things. Whichever it is great, because now I'm sounding sexist, and I'm the opposite of that. Isn't that interesting? You say little girl, and then you say something else for boy, but you don't say little boy. That's really interesting,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is very interesting. Yes.
What is that saying? How you're training your daughter or your son from day number one about our languaging?
Yes,
We
this
got
is
to look
true.
into this another
I
time.
agree. I agree. Okay, and then what's with you wearing diapers?
I'm not wearing diapers.
Did it say
No.
Jessica preparing Michael for diapers?
Yes. If we can't get Ruru potty trained, he's gonna have to wear diapers on the RV.
I thought it was you. I was like,
No, CJ.
well, it says Jessica
No.
preparing Michael for diapers. I don't know what's going
We
on.
have not a script. We have a list of fun topics to talk about here. And the topic says Jessica preparing Michael for diapers. What that means is she's slowly introducing the concept that I may have to be changing diapers on Ruru. We've lost CJ.
Okay. Okay. You guys really are going to have a great reality show.
We're starting to film more and more, and we've got the new editor on board for this, and Jessica's posting a lot of video on Patreon right now of reality stuff, and we'll probably end up with a Michael and Jessica power couple spiritual reality show once we hit the road. I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of excited about every element except for me having to. Oh wait, let's go get the camera. Oh wait, let's me go get the camera.
Yeah,
But
ruins
mine
like
is
talk about ruining any spontaneity that there once was. When I was trying to do that in the Camino, I'd be like filming myself. I'm like, I'm no longer in the Camino because I'm talking to this camera, and it just got me because you were like, oh, make sure to film everything, and I did it a couple of times when I was feeling contemplative and needing to like just talk it out. But for the most part, it just gets you out of whatever present moment you're in, I think.
So it will be interesting to see because I'll go on runs with my phone in theory to go record video, and I'm halfway through a run on top of the mountain. I really don't want to film right now.
sometimes this is so bad. I actually, when I'm catching up with friends, I actually do it while I'm running. And so I'll be like, they'll talk to me, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And they're like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm running. Just
Better
ignore,
have video.
just ignore what I'm saying. Ignore the panting in the background. Do you want me to mute it? Is it irritating?" So I get it. I get it. Wow. So it's kind of coming to the next month. What does it look like for you this whole next month?
We have had our automatic writing book, I like to say, got coveted. It
Hmm.
came back to us for another round of edits, and it's been a lot of a labor of love, but a lot of work over the summer. And we turned in the manuscript minus two sections to the editor 2 days ago. I have some more on the history of automatic writing and science to fill in for this weekend. Then it goes to her for about 10 days. Then it comes back to us. So I'm going to have another round of edits for the book right before we leave on tour. What's
Wow.
really fascinating, and I haven't fully processed this yet, and you may have experienced this. I talk about as continuous about going around the mountain and coming back to the same spot, and around the mountain and coming back. Well, the last time we went on a tour together was a book tour
Mm.
over 10 years ago. We didn't know what was going on in life. We didn't know where we would be afterwards. We didn't know where the funds were going to come from for this thing. We still had a book that hadn't arrived yet. All of these things swirling in the air. Fast forward 10 years. We're reinventing ourselves. We're not sure where we're going from here. We're financially in an amazing place. We have a book that is up in the air. And we're going, what in the world?
Is
How
it literally 10 years? When did you launch your book tour? It was in the summer though, right? Not in the fall.
It was April of 2010.
Oh, spring. So it's not exactly, but yeah, that's very interesting.
And what's
Wow.
the significance behind that? So we have 5 weeks to prep, wrap car, get everything done. Pack shouldn't be a problem. Plan out, probably pretty easy, and figure out this book. It's a decent amount to get done. The car is interesting because I have to take the car to another town to get prepped for the tour, but the highway is closed.
Oh
The highway's on
gosh.
fire.
Wow. Wow.
We had an amazing miracle on Tuesday, which is the car that we got. We had to purchase in Minnesota because stick shifts are almost gone. Nobody drives sticks anymore. So
Hmm.
we had to buy a car unseen in Minnesota. It worked out perfectly. It got shipped here by truck. It was supposed to arrive Wednesday. Tuesday morning, we get the call, or Tuesday midday. The car is here in Denver. Can you pick it up right away?
Oh no.
Best of circumstances, if we're hot rodding it, is about 2.5 hours, maybe a little bit longer. It's supposed to be about 3.5 hours. Um, but the highway was closed.
Hmm.
And Jessica's like, well, maybe it's better to do it now. And I do have a model right now. If not now, then when?
Right.
And they're like, all right, we've got two classes we're teaching tomorrow. We're going to throw everything on its head. We're going to go out now. We ended up on a twisty, turny mountain road called Independence Pass. It goes up to 12,000 feet out of Aspen, Colorado,
Hmm.
that had stop and go traffic because the highway was closed.
Oh no. So you're just sitting there like molasses.
We make it there. On the way back, we had some really, really slow drivers. We get back after midnight. It turns out the next day, midday, they closed the pass because too many trucks were trying to use it and getting stuck on it, trying to get out of
Oh
town.
no.
If we hadn't left on Tuesday and we had left Wednesday morning, we'd still be there. They
Wow.
closed the backup way in and out of town.
Wow. Wow, it's
We went
really
on
bad.
intuition.
But then you were able to go there, pick up the car, and bring it back with you then?
Yeah, double the amount of driving time, but we did it. And we
Wow.
got it back because we listened to that inner wisdom, inner knowing that's saying, no, I know it doesn't feel right. And this is
Hmm.
what we're all experiencing right now. It
Hmm.
doesn't feel right, but you need to do this now. And I said, all right. I said, all right, Pookie, let's get there as fast as we can, slowly.
Hmm. Wow.
Let's not rush. Let's take our time.
Wow. So you drove all the way to Denver and back on the same day. That's a lot of driving.
Yeah.
And also like in kind of conditions that are aggravating. On the way back, was it super crowded too?
It was very slow going on the pass
Hmm.
because people were bypassing the highway and doing a 12,000-foot elevation mountain pass who did not, the car in front of us was a rental car.
Oh gosh.
And they were going to 10 miles an hour,
Oh,
literally.
oh my gosh.
In the turns, Jessica was crawled up behind me because she's in the Tesla behind me. I'm in the Mini that I have never driven before. My first time in this thing on the
Right on
mountain
a
pass,
stick shift up and down hills. Oh my God.
trying to learn this thing. It worked out. She was in go mode, and I didn't. Our cell phones didn't work in the mountains at that elevation. There was no towers. But what she was telling me afterwards is she wanted me to kind of usher them along, and my thinking was they're very scared. I send them lots of love. I send them lots of kindness. I am going to stay as far away from them as possible so I don't freak them out any
Right.
further. Because if they're
Wow.
going 10 miles an hour, they're afraid they're going to like fall to their doom.
Wow. Talk about like just a metaphor for life, right? You're in the great unknown on in this highway that you don't know where you're going, right? And every turn feels treacherous. It's such a metaphor for where we are right now. It's crazy. Um,
But if we look at it, if we flip the metaphor on its head, we don't know where we're going, but maybe it's someplace even more special than we thought. Maybe it's someplace that we couldn't even have dreamed of. Maybe it's opening us up to opportunities that couldn't have existed before.
yeah, I totally understand and completely agree. I mean, in this case, if you hadn't gone, you wouldn't have been able to get your car. I mean, that for probably at least a week, we know, right? Because the highways shut down for a week. So I mean, it's just never really. No, we this week has been my version of fuss. I don't know. What did you say in the very beginning? Crazy energy. I I don't know if I've
Yeah.
completely transmuted it.
Smoky, swirly energy.
Yes, my smoky, swirly energy was my um, son has tonsil stones, and it's been really hard for him because you're always like
Is that
having to.
what gave him the fever?
No, I don't think so. But he's had tonsil stones for a really long time. And we finally, I was like, okay, let's actually see a ENT doctor, so ear, nose, throat doctor. So we went to see the doctor, putting together all this evidence because the previous doctors have said, like, no tonsillectomy, you can't do this. And so the doctor comes in and she said, so you have tonsil stones? And you're like, yeah. She's like, yeah, the only way to get rid of them if you've had them for a really long time is a tonsillectomy. It's like, okay. Good. Now they're on the same page. Now what do we do? And she then said, "Well, I said I have this weird situation, which there's this like very complicated scenario where my son has to decide if he wants to go to school part time, full time, or not at all." And it's really hard because the online medium is not very good for. Oh, can I get a hug? Wait, I'm gonna. The online experience is just so hard. It's easier for like technical classes where you can just listen to a lecture and like gather the technical information. It's really hard for conversations and like the kind of liberal arts and science classes. So he would go part time if he could, but then you're paying full time prices for part time classes. So like a lighter load. And so I was trying to see if I could get a lighter price for this full term classes, which I can't, but they said on the
I think a
website that you
lot of
could.
parents are asking about that because, hey, if we're not getting the college experience, why are we paying for the whole college experience?
Yeah, and they discounted their fees by 10%, but still it's like, yeah, it's not exactly the same. So we thought, well, maybe he'll do part-time because then he can ramp up on some technical classes, but you can't take four really hard grueling classes. You can take three, but like it's really hard to take four, and it's really hard to take the classes where you do arts and science where you're talking, or like his Chinese class, it just didn't go well. I mean, it's hard to do that kind of thing in a
Question.
Zoom-like environment.
I years ago when I was in school, I was bouncing back and forth between college in Colorado and racing bicycles in Europe, and I got injured one year, and I couldn't get back to the Colorado college while I was healing. And I ended up taking classes locally, just at a community college, which was the most awesome experience in the world. It's hit or miss. Got the most amazing professors, and those credits could transfer over. So is that a possibility that he could take some of those tech classes with a different online school and transfer them in?
Oh, I never thought about that. I don't know because they're prerequisites, so I
These
don't.
were prereqs too.
They were? I'll have
Yeah.
to ask and see. So, like, these are all the variables that we're juggling. So, like, part-time, full-time, no time. If you do no time, then you need to look at for jobs. So then he's been looking for work and seeing what he could do. If you do part-time, we'll also expect you to do some work. And if you do full-time, then that's like just standard issue. But he said that he doesn't necessarily want to do full-time. So then it's these two things. And then meanwhile, if depending on whether he does part-time or full-time, the cost, like as parents, we have to figure out if it financially makes sense. And then behind all of this is the medical insurance to do all of this stuff. So like depending on whether you're full-time, part-time, or no time, you get insurance or not insurance. And he wants this tonsillectomy. So basically, over the last week, most of my time has been on the phone with insurance people in the various departments within Johns Hopkins. It's just been so crazy. So it's just been a tonsil takeover. I literally have spent most of my time thinking about, okay, but if you get a job, are you interested in this or what? And then you need to write a cover letter. But if you've never written a cover letter, but it's just all this kind of stuff. And so luckily, it's all kind of come to pass and like organized. Like he has a potential internship. I think we're going to just end up paying full-time prices for part-time course load. I think I am going to check to see if we can actually do correct, because there's basically a maximum number of classes that you can transfer. So we'll have to see if he can do that and how many classes are the maximum classes he can do that with. And if it makes sense to do that or not. I don't. We'll just have to find out because I think they need a grade, but then you'd be at pass fail. So if you have a transfer class, so there's all these are the kinds of intricacies. So thus I wrote down enlightened executive functioning because when you're in these states, I kind of want to be like all zen like and like I'm making all these decisions and like more, like come up with a decision. It's really hard to do that. It's what I've noticed is I really get into a certain planning mode and optimizing mode and business. Like I have to work. I have all
You're
these.
worked in the problem.
Yeah, it's like all these years of training as a business person, and you're just kind of trying to chug through those things. And then also I'm a mom, so I'm merging all these different aspects of myself, like what's best for him, how can I do this the most loving way, but then what's the best business solution so that we're not paying so much per course, and is there a part-time it says on your website, so I'm just trying to do the smart business thing, and it's really hard. It's really hard to have enlightened executive functioning, right? Because like if you go to the whole spiritual place, it's like you make a decision and you're not tied to the outcome. But then at the same time, there's all these dollars changing it. And we're not talking about small amount of dollars. It's like $75,000 a year kind of dollars. It's not like, oh, well, we'll just see where the outcome goes. It's like, no, we're talking about a ton of money. And so like, oh God, what do you do, in these decisions? So it's been really interesting to see this whole process. And, remember when I went to the Camino, I talked to someone who said, don't plan it all out, just like flow and let it go. And then someone's like, plan it all out. This is like the hottest time to go and you're going to be a disaster. And so then I started looking to like, well, what is the factual information? So I looked and everything was booked out. I'm like, oh God, I do have to plan it out, which I then proceeded to plan it out. And during the Camino, I ended up unwinding everything I planned out and spending free time unwinding all the stuff I planned. So.
I'm getting whiplash. People who can't see this, I'm getting whiplash.
And
In
now,
agreement here.
and you know, with this COVID, every single day is like that. Like you optimize for one scenario, and then everything changes, and then you optimize for another scenario, and everything changes. And it's not, the changes are all really reasonable, right? Like, oh, hey, you know, Maryland, the uptake is actually increasing in terms of the amount of COVID, so they don't really want the students to come back. It's not safe for them. So I don't, you know, it's like, I don't begrudge that. It's just like, that's just how it is. So then you undo everything and you're like, okay, what's this next? And it's just this process of planning and organizing and being open, I guess, to the outcome, even though knowing that that outcome may be completely unraveled every day, and planning as if it's real and going to stick, even though you know may not happen. It's been a very interesting, it's been a very interesting process of just doing that over and over again. I'm like, am I kind of a moron? Like, what is happening here? I keep on planning. Should I just stop planning? But you can't stop planning because there are decisions that take like money and effort and energy and consequences. And so it's really hard. It's like you loosely plan thinking this may be the outcome, and I have no idea if all this is going to be blown apart the next day. And maybe that's the best way to do planning. I don't know. What do you think? Because you're going through the massive amounts of planning now.
Well, what I get out of automatic writing consistently is you're not allowed to have the answer. You can plan the next few steps. Don't even dare trying to plan it all out, because everything's going to continuously change. And in the whole Buddhist concept of attachment and suffering, you will suffer for it. Now, you have to plan a semester or two in advance. This totally makes sense. But I have a bias in this one. All right, let's let the bias out of the cage.
Okay.
I wrote a book for college students called College Confidence with ADD. I wrote it more than a decade ago. It became a niche-y little bestseller. And in it I said, because I pulled it back after my first MDE, it hadn't been published yet, and I think I put in the intro something to the effect of, I'm going to be the first college expert you've ever heard from that is suggesting that college may not be for you or may not be for you at this time. Mm-hmm. And I think things are such in total flux right now that I would either do college light or college pause, particularly with those kind of dollars being thrown around. Heck, if you took $75,000 and you said, go build a business, what could he do? Let's find you a great mentor. Give this $75,000 to a mentor. What could be done? There's so many other amazing things that could be done with that money. Or we let this year be a year of total flux and challenge and lack of attachment and swirling energies, which could actually tremendously serve him, rather than having his eyeballs melting into Zoom. Because there are studies out now on Zoom that talk about how much more focus it takes and how much harder it is on the mind. That's not the kind of focus that he needs.
Right.
So I have a very biased opinion. I'm sorry, CJ.
Yeah, it's hard. I think that, as you probably know, from like there's like once you have ADHD and you're actually working through it, it is very hard on Zoom. It's actually even harder for kids with ADHD with Zoom. And then in addition to that, it's also really hard because once you go off, it's really hard to all of a sudden go back on. Like my son, who is
Switching
like,
cost,
yes,
yeah.
there's a switching cost. And so like taking a whole year off, all of a sudden getting up the academic ramp, you're kind of like, oh, it is so painful. That's why we decided to do this kind of part-time route of maybe doing kind of like something light. But I have to investigate a little bit into doing something in the local university here, which has a really good department for what he's interested in doing, and maybe just transferring credits over. That may be the most cost efficient thing to do. And possibly they may have doing online classes or offline classes in Washington State, because we've been pretty good.
I used to coach students. I don't really do this kind of coaching in the better part of I guess more than a decade now. But one of the things I would do with a challenged student, and forget about the label. We are all challenged students right now, and your son is very challenged. is I would have them take classes at a local community college or something equivalent of that, and with one prime directive, knowing that they're not going to transfer to the school that they've been put on academic probation, so they've got to go away for a while and kind of prove themselves before they're allowed to come back, for instance.
Right.
I wouldn't care if the credits could transfer over at all. I would say go play. Find what is fun for you. You know, it could be a class on poltergeist. It could be a class on basket weaving. It could be a class on meteorology or astronomy or God knows what. But do something that lights you up. The cost is absolutely minimum. And you're going, well, what about the time? You're helping the student find themselves. And when they light up, that is worth more than transferring the credits. Now they have this incredible energy and
Right.
direction that they will then take back with them. So as another possibility, and I can hear a student going, you mean I'm losing a year? No, the exact opposite. You're having fun for a year. You're learning about yourself for a year. You're discovering and you're taking the classes that it's 75K you would not allow yourself to take, or mom and dad, no way in hell, would allow you to take.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I'll actually, the reason why I'm hesitating at all is because we just talked through this thing. So, and you know, where you've introduced too many options and now the person's like, stop. That's why I'm hesitating.
Painful
Yeah,
choke.
it's like, stop. No more ideas solidified on this. Like, it's one thing if it's meme spirit. So I'll have to, I hear what you're saying. I think it's a great idea. And I have a kid who's just been going through the, wash and spin cycle so many times that this settling on one thing and just calmly, methodically doing that one thing may be the best thing to do. I don't know. I'll have to ask my husband and see how much we want to rock the boat. But that is what the enlightened executive functioning and tonsil takeover has been.
Before you dive into the next two, I've just got to ask as a personal question. Last year, and actually more 2 years ago, you were really freaked out about becoming an empty nester.
Right,
And this really, really rocked your boat and rocked your world.
right.
Well, they're back.
I know.
How does this feel, and what is this doing inside the psyche of CJ?
It's been mixed. I think that there was a part of me. It's like, wow, it's just about. I was actually finally like, okay, I'm ready, and then it's like, oh, okay, you're back. So now what? And then I think if everything happens in the mindset of everything happens for a reason, it's like, well, now how can they be back and you still be in this mindset? And so I've been noticing my old patterns of behavior when they're back, behaving a certain way, and I've just noticed how hard that is. I'm conscious of how hard it is to snap into like, do you want lunch? What's happening? Versus like make yourself your own lunch, you know how to make lunch, go do it. Versus like, oh, do you want lunch? Can I get mommy? Like that kind of thing. So I'm kind of like, you know, task switching around and trying to like merge these two different worlds that kind of don't compute in my head because what I'm thinking in my head and what I'm physically doing is just it's and seeing is completely different. So it's kind of confusing to be honest. Um and the other thing that's confusing is this is such a hard time for them and they really need emotional support and someone to just hold the space. And so there really is a need for a mom, not in the same kind of need that they had before, but it's more like holding space, emotional support. Because it is so hard for these kids right now, especially some kid, so my son who is, flown the nest, and then it's like, no, you're back into the nest. It's equally hard for him. So it's like trying to figure out, from a parenting perspective, how to give him a sense of feeling like he has freedom. So that's why during the summer they flew out to California and Chicago so that they had like, a period away from mom and dad. And now knowing that this semester would be all about hanging out with mom and dad potentially. So it's hard for them and it's hard for us. And I don't know. I think it's all meant to be in some weird way that I don't understand, frankly. I just always assume everything is meant to be. I don't understand it, but I just have to be patient because the answers and the what's happening, I won't be able to see for maybe years beyond this point. It's true for all of us, right?
Absolutely. We
So,
cannot know right now.
so I was, and I think I told you did I tell you how I left this one group that I was working with? Did I tell you that the last time? Oh,
I'm not sure if you did.
okay. So I was working with this one group of people, a dear friend of mine who had an employee just pick up and leave. And then I actually stepped in to just help do a knowledge transfer. It was just a very rocky transition. And I said, let me help you out because he was just literally almost like getting ill as a result of her leaving this quickly and in the way that she did. So I picked up the pieces and then helped him starting to do his marketing plan and marketing stuff. And then got into doing all the stuff that I used to do, but actually didn't really ever want to do again. But I did it for him.
This sounds like a double coming around. This is what we're talking about today. It just, they come back and they come back.
They did, and they came back, and I thought, I really don't want to do this, but I did because I thought it was only going to be like 1 month short stint. But then the 1 month got dragged out to 6 months to a year, and I was like, no, okay, this is just, I can't do this anymore. So last weekend, I think I sent
Mhm.
this mail. I'm like, I'm sorry, I really know that this is probably a grave disappointment, but I can't do this anymore. It literally is crushing my soul to do this. I cannot do this. It was, and it was because of my desire to, get in and out, but it
Mhm.
was not a get in and out scenario. It was presented initially as a get in and out, and then it was not that. So I was like, I can't, the timeline doesn't work for me. I don't know if I can commit at this level, commitment and pace for this long. And even if I slow down the pace, I don't, this is just a fundamentally different way than I'm used to working, and I don't know if I can do it. Um, and it was interesting because I realized that anything that you do half-heartedly, um, and when you're doing it out of a sense of commitment versus true passion, it's just such a
Ooh.
recipe for failure. Personal pain, and it really amounted to personal pain. And I thought, okay, this is hopefully my last time I learn this, but like I really, fun, freedom, meaning, if those three things are not into what you're doing, I'm just not doing them at all. So it is circling around and coming back. And then the other thing I've recognized is that part of this is impatience and wanting to know what my next thing is. When you're kind of rudderless for such a long period of time, I thought I was going to be coming around the bend and gaining clarity with what I want to do. That this whole COVID thing has made me continually. I thought like I'd go to the Camino, which was almost a year ago, go to India, and then like pretty much get a sense of where I wanted to go and launch off. Well, that has not happened. COVID happened, and I've just been, it's like that spinning top that keeps on spinning. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm spinning. And at a certain point, you just get impatient and want results. And I realized that that's what was happening with me. I was like, okay, by doing this work project, I'd have like a short period of time, I'd get results, I'd satisfy my ego, and then be able to like move on to the next thing. But when the top on that kept on spinning, I'm like, oh no, like this is too much. I'm not even getting that. But I realized that there's this. I was telling you this body of work called the Gene Keys I was looking at, and one of my challenges for work is impatience, and then the it's like impatience, and then I think it gets to like the magical gift when you can supersede that is a sense of timelessness. And I think thinking about there is no time, and I thought, oh, there is no time. And I've been contemplating that this whole week, like if there was no time where you had to accomplish everything to prove that you're just an amazing person or whatever, which is what we're all doing, right? We have to accomplish things so we can prove that we're of value, so that we can be noticed, valued, respected, and loved, right? This is, I think, the game all of the Western people. But if you go, there is no time, I can just hang out and continue spinning. So, how can I move from spinning around and being in pain to spinning around and being in joy? And that was like, huh. I I haven't got there yet, but I was like, okay, that's my challenge. How can I be spinning around? Instead of like, you can think of it the spinning around like when you're in the middle of the ocean and there's no wind and you're just sitting dead in the water, not going anywhere, just sitting there. So you could just be there fretting, looking for land, trying to find the shores to land on, or maybe if you're lucky enough, you can just kind of like lie down and maybe crack open a soda and just relax and wait for something to happen and maybe be joyful about it. And so I've been contemplating how to get to that point and how to be in a place of rapture and joy, and to just enjoy the chaotic life energy. Like when we were kids, when we'd ride the roller coaster and we actually had fun and loved it and wanted to get back on. How do you get there? So that's what I've been contemplating. So if you have any thoughts on that, Michael, I'd love to hear them.
Well, as somebody who has had head injury before, and roller coasters are now, at least the last try, which was better close to a decade ago, is excruciating.
Oh,
Although I know that getting on a rebounder, I actually healed a lot of that, so I probably could handle that bounce up and down. The concept that comes to mind, and what I keep on sharing with people, and I love how you say there's no time, because I read that as a double entendre,
yeah,
is there's no time, and there's no time. There's no time than now. There's no better time than now. And that's the challenge I keep putting out to my coaching clients. If not now, then when? What's the thing you always wanted to try that you never gave yourself permission? What's the thing that you said, well, I couldn't possibly do that, or other people told you you couldn't possibly do that? If not now, then when? Because I think we're in such an energetic upheaval, a phoenix rising, that all the old is sloughing away. All the old patterns and habits and excuses and reasons that we couldn't fully live who we truly are going away. So in one small step, what can we do to embody what is maybe even the most fearful thing that you're afraid I couldn't possibly do that? If not now, then when?
yeah,
And give yourself permission to do that. It could be your if not now, then when is a 40-day meditation silent retreat. It could be that it's trying to pick up the guitar and starting to become a rock and roller and finding an online teacher or something. If not now, then when? We have no idea what the outcome is. We have no
yeah,
idea what's coming out of our chrysalis.
yeah.
So why not all the things that we say, I don't have time, I couldn't possibly do that now, I need to be responsible. There's never been a better time. We can't be fully responsible, even if we want to be right now.
Well,
Why
I
are we throwing
actually,
ourselves out on the
my
road?
approach is slightly different, but I like that approach. I have been doing a little bit of that. Here's my funny execution of that. As I thought, I wonder what I can do with this big can of matcha green tea. And I was like, because my son can't drink caffeine, but he wants caffeine, and I don't really feel thrilled about him drinking coffee all the time. He doesn't like it, it hurts his stomach. So I'm like, okay, how about matcha green tea lemonade? There's got to be something on the
Matcha
internet.
green tea brownies.
Oh, I've never tried. Are those good?
I don't know. It just came to me. It could be either really good
That
or
sounds
really,
disgusting.
really bad. But there's something about maca and chocolate that I have a feeling is good.
Matcha green tea, but I don't know.
Well,
It's
yeah.
not that. It's not the same as matcha chocolate powder. It's not that the matcha chocolate powder, which is different.
No, I understand. And it could be horrific. But play. See what you
So
can
I
do with it.
so
There's never been
basically
a better
I
time
made
to play.
green tea lemonade, which was delicious. I made an oat milk latte that was delicious, and I found a different he doesn't like stevia, so I found a different substitute sweetener that was really good. It's like a natural sweetener. It's like monk sugar or whatever, and the other one is erythritol, or I can't remember what it's called, a different kind of sugar substitute. But I was playing around. So that's one small step that I did because I like creating. So I'm like, okay, just create something.
Do you
And
see
then,
the smirk on my face?
what?
Matcha green tea brownies recipe by Yuki on Cookpad. Cookpad.com, matcha green tea
I
brownies.
don't
Now, I
know. It
got to
sounds
admit, the
bad.
images, they look moldy.
Ask Jessica to make them. And if you
They're
like it, then I'll
moldy
try
brown.
it. But
There's almost nothing you can do with chocolate that I'm not going to like.
I've had matcha green tea
Ah,
cookies. Those are good.
our addictive matcha green tea brownies recipe. White chocolate matcha green tea brownies. How to make matcha. Oh, it's all over the web. Matcha green tea brownies.
Oh gosh, no thank you. Maybe, but I don't think so.
I would say, I'm open. Who knows? I'm just open.
I'm just focusing on drinks. That's my short-term deliverable, and I'm going to take a Tai Chi class. And then the rest of it, what I'm trying to do is, you know how there are people who are not beach people. They don't sit on the beach and read magazines
I
and
don't sit
sleep.
on the beach, read magazines, and sleep. I'll walk the beach. I'll run the beach. I am a swimmer. I will go run or swim so far away off the edge of the beach, even with quote unquote wildlife. I used to do it daily in Maui, or bi-daily as soon as I could get to the water. And on when I lived on Emerald Isle off the coast of North Carolina on the
I
Outer
remember
Banks, I
that.
would swim the beach, but I would not sit the beach.
So I'm learning. My challenge for myself is to like learn how to just sit in the beach. So like I'm trying to
Be with the
sit.
beach.
I'm trying to sit in the doldrums and not do too much of making matcha tea green items. Like make one or two just to keep myself sane.
Oh no, another one has come to me. Matcha green tea skin conditioner.
They
Something
do
that you
have
put
those. They
maybe.
actually do have those. I actually made soap with matcha green tea and some other items and lemon, which smelled really good. This smells really good. And like a citron. Yes, I have done that. But you can't take a tin that is this big and make a lot of soap. It's like a tablespoon. Even with a cup of tea, use a half a teaspoon of matcha green tea.
You're fun,
But I will
TJ.
figure it out. So, anyways, I am trying to get to Rapture during these doldrum times, and I'll tell you how it goes next week.
I
It was
like
just
it.
an insight that I had, and I think I guess it's a personal challenge, right? It's can we stop doing what's happening? We're being stuck in the house to contemplate our lives. And so if we can stop rushing around doing things all the time and we're just being with the discomfort of being sitting in the doldrums with the squirt, but can you actually enjoy the heat of the sun and the stillness of the water and enjoy the magnificence of what's happening? Like I don't know, like I mean I know I could when I was a little kid, right? I mean I loved riding chaotic
I
roller coasters, but how can you
I
do
bet
that
I
as an
could
adult?
right now with as busy as our lives have been with this show. I bet I could melt into that lounge chair, into that towel. I might have an umbrella up or something, but to be forced to sit and do nothing for that length of time actually sounds even more delicious and heavenly than the matcha green tea brownies.
We will see. You're not going to be living that life. I don't know, because you're going to be
Oh,
driving.
we're gonna be heading to what? We're gonna be looking for water. We're coming up your neck of the woods. We're spending the most time on this RV tour coming through Washington States. We're gonna be spending the most of it.
Oh, really? In
Um,
Washington
yep,
State? Oh,
yep.
I'm so excited. Wait, so
The
how many
Cascades,
hours are
the
you going to
Olympians.
drive? How long can you drive a day? Like, I mean, in a big car like that, is it like 4 hours a day or what is it?
Um, Probably want to keep it to maybe a couple hundred miles a day, but we will have some longer days in there. And Starting after our anniversary on 10/10, when we're going to be down for our 10-year anniversary, we're going to be down in the Grand Canyon. Then we have a 3 or 4 day straight drive, provided the East Coast is still somewhat stable. We're going to be visiting Jessica's parents in New Jersey, my parents in New England, and then a 3 or 4 day drive straight back as
Right.
well.
So you're going to have three or four long drives across the country. Wow, those are going to be long in a car like that. Is that possible with a
Well, it's
big?
the 35-foot bus where you can have one person driving, the other person is sleeping. It's either a queen or king size bed in it.
Oh, you're just
They'll be
constantly
sleeping in that
driving.
thing. and then we'll switch it. As long as the animals are okay with going that long of just keeping the vehicle going, we'll probably keep the vehicle going. We're on Patreon, so if people go to patreon.com/InspireNation, you can follow the whole journey and we'll be videotaping it. But you and I will not be meeting next week.
What? Why? Where are you going?
It's my 50th birthday.
Oh, Michael, happy birthday!
So
Yay!
I'm taking that day off. It's a couple days before my birthday, and I cannot figure out anything. The tour, that's like a birthday gift,
Yeah, for sure.
and the mini, well, that's Jessica's mini, but it's still like a birthday gift. But I can't figure out anything I want to do
I think you
for my
just told me
birthday.
to like sit around and melt underneath an umbrella.
Totally.
I
But
think that sounds like what you want to
she's
do.
like, "You want to drive to Crested Butte, which is 2.5 miles down a dirt road?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, that's 5 hours of
Well,
driving
you
on my
live on a
birthday.
beautiful piece of property, just like literally do nothing.
Staycation. That
Yeah,
may
I
well be
think
it.
staycation and just sit in the sun. Well, I guess you can't do that with the fires, right?
Well, I am transmuting the energy. My guess is it will be, well, let's not guess because we are mind as creator. There will be a miracle situation where this fire will go out over the next week.
And then you'll
Woohoo!
be there, and yeah, I'm imagining you near a lake, sitting underneath an umbrella. I don't know if you drink beer, but I had an image of you drinking beer.
No, 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 no drinking for this camper. I'm
No,
I'm I'm naturally drunk.
you're
Uh,
okay. No, just like sitting by like a little campfire near the lake. I'm seeing it. I hope that that's where nearby, short drive.
there is a reservoir right nearby. We could go there. I could go swim in the water. That would be good. Anytime you put me in the water, I am a very, very happy camper.
Yeah, go dive in the water, swim, get like a little place. Can you I don't know, camp. I don't know. I can't wait to hear what you do, but I'll talk to you 2 weeks from now and you'll tell me.
Sounds good. All right, I've got to get here. This has been so much fun. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with people, CJ?
I'm good.
All right. So, last words that I have is really, if we don't label this as good or bad, we can label it the great big unknown. We can label it the matcha tea of tin cans of our lives. And what in the world do we do with this stuff? But if we realize it's just a building blocks for something greater than we ever could imagine possible, and we view it that way and we let go and we let go and we let go, we will transmute this energy and rise above the ickiness to the or something better. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou wishing you a happy birthday, Michael.
thank you, CJ. Woohoo! It's a once in a lifetime. It's a big number. I'm
I
gonna rock this
know.
birthday. For everyone out there, I think we already said that. Michael Sandler, CJ Lou, saying be well, have fun, transmute all the energy you can, and just be with it all. Be with it. Breathe in. Even I know this sounds terrible. Breathe in the smoke. No, don't breathe in the smoke. Don't be Michael. Get yourself an air filter. Don't breathe in the smoke. Be well, have fun. Love you guys so much, and shine bright.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. I would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.